Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's Ryan Rice. We are down here in Beaufort, South Carolina at Higher Ground Outdoors. We are looking to get another kayak for taking my son Jared out on the water. He's going to be 5 in July. I want him to get used to being on the water and experiencing the time on it to see if he's ready to do this. The only way you can do that is just take him out and try. So we're looking at a tandem setup. And the tandem setup that we are going to water test is the Nucanoe Unlimited. I'm going to throw 2 Fusion seats on that and take it for a quick water test with myself. I've never been on a Nucanoe on the water, so I'm going to check the stability. I'm going to check the tracking for just paddling right now, and then throwing Jared on there real quick to see if I feel safe enough to have both myself and my son on there at the same time. I want him to get used to being on the water, so any way you can do that is get him on the water. Make sure he likes this, and if he likes the sport and likes being on the water like his father, then this kayak will be his 1-seat kayak with a nice motor on it as he gets older and he's ready to be on his own. So let's go try this out and see what we think. So we got the little guy with us right now doing a water test on the Nucanoe Unlimited with 2 seats. It tracks very well. It paddles very well. We're actually using too small of a paddle right now. We're getting him wet, but we know this is just a demo paddle, so it needs to be a longer paddle. But we are looking into the Nucanoes. This is the Nucanoe Unlimited. It's got the 360 swivel seats that we can turn him around. He can sit sideways.
And I could put my feet in too if they were longer.
Yeah. So we want to get Jared used to being on a kayak, so we figure we'll start him sooner than later and see if he's okay with this. We're probably going to use this kayak as also a secondary kayak just for me when I'm on the water and, you know, have some fun. We are probably going to add a motor to this eventually once I can afford it. The missus let me get one, but you know, we're just debating between the Torpedo or the motor guide, you know, bow mount. I kind of like the stern mount motors because, you know, with the bow I could run into things, you know, and like kind of beach and stuff a little easier. But that's down the road. We're just going to paddle around here a little bit more, keep giving it a shot, see how we think, pick up some speed. Do you feel safe, buddy? Do you feel comfortable? Isn't it cool being on the water and seeing all the boats up close?
That one's so big.
Yeah.
Sleep under it.
Yes, it has beds in it.
I can't see it.
So it turns pretty well. We were actually looking at Nucanoe before we actually got the Hobie back in 2017. They made some improvement to these. But if we do go for this and we purchase this, we will be making a series video of how we outfit this and how we rig this for a mix of, you know, tandem fishing and also when I'm by myself. And my plan is to have this as Jared's main boat when he's ready to be on his own, and we'll get the motor and everything set up for him. You having fun, buddy? You think you'll like this?
Feet are hanging now.
Yeah. Turn around, bud. Look how close you are to the boat. Look at that. What do you think? You think they're looking out their windows? They could be saying hi to us. So we ended up going with the tundra color, and we got it strapped on of our On the Water Innovations trailer. We're gonna head home, and we are gonna cover a little bit of stuff on this kayak yet. So once again, we went with the tundra color. You can see a little bit here how it's sitting on the trailer. That's the reason why I got this rack, and just simple cam straps down to this. You can see I modified my cam straps and got rid of just the plastic hooks and put carabiner on there just for an extra safety checkpoint, basically. So you know, those little rubber hooks that go on these straps, if these straps ever come loose, they end up coming off where they're hooked to and they dangle. At least here there's always something wrapped around the kayak. But we're gonna get this off the trailer real quick. I want to show you with the seats on it and how the deck padding looks on this. You know, this is different than obviously the one I water tested in that blue color, wherever it was. It's got a mix of gray, green, a little bit of camo in it, you know, a little bit of sky color if you want to say that. And it's still a nice color. I like it in general, and it came out really well, you know, bringing it home from Beaufort. So I want to do a quick walkthrough while it's in my garage and no seats on it, but you just want to see it. To me, this is going to be a blank canvas. I was looking at Nucanoes when I first started looking into kayak fishing in 2017. I was actually looking at these originally, just for the simple fact that they are a blank canvas. They've come a long way actually already since the 2017 when I started looking at them. But this is the Unlimited. You can see all the gear track that's built into this on the top, down low, you know, right here in the front for anything. You can get the gear pod to fit in the front of this. There's a whole bunch of stuff on this. I'm not gonna go too in depth right now because I just want to just kind of do a quick walkthrough while it's still a blank canvas. This is gonna be a very simple kayak for us because it's gonna be set up for me and my son, or my son and my wife, or just one person coming down to visit. And I'm gonna keep this as sleek and as streamlined as possible. But there will be a motor added to this kayak down the line, and it's probably going to be the Torqeedo. So look, before we get into anything else on this kayak, you can see on this 2023 Limited, they actually have the cam lock and a pulley wheel already mounted for you to be able to pull up on that motor. You know, and they actually have the eyelets on here already too that run your paracord back. You know, then I would probably do, you know, another Yak Attack, eye loop here, anything on your 1/4 inch T-bolts, and then you'd have your mount here in the back that you could just guide that down through, and then be able to pull up your motor and get your mount on the back of this kayak. So now what they have is a hand-controlled steering and also a foot-control steering that you can put on this too to control your rear mounted motor. So we'll probably end up getting a foot controlled steering, and I actually have it set up now for the tandem setup, and it's a shorter cable that runs to the back, and it's it's going to probably reach about here, about right about here where your back seat would be, and you actually just use the track to mount that, and there's a little foot control on here that controls your steering, and then I would just mount your throttle probably most likely either here or up on the higher part for your Newport vessel, your Torqeedo, whatever you want to put for your rear mounted motor. I have the Bixby on the Hobie, but that's just an assistant with my fin drive to get me from point A to point B. I don't usually use that for primary means of getting from point A to point B. I mean, every now and then I do take a break and let the motor do some of the work. It's strictly just a kayak with a paddle, and that's it. There's no, foot drive. Well, they do make a foot drive, but I'm not getting into that. This is just strictly just a kayak with a paddle. But, if I'm going to be going out with him and it's going to be us for at least 3-4 hours, I may try to get away with just a paddle for a little while, but as soon as we can swing that Torqeedo, I'll probably throw the Torqeedo on here. And I think I may have a feeling that Hobie may be for sale. We'll see. I don't know. I may sell that Hobie and get another one of these myself, and have 2 of these. Sorry about jumping off you know me, I see something and think about it. So, real quick walkthrough. You have a handle up front. You got some rod protection for your tips of your rods. They have a plate now. I think they started the plates maybe in 21 or 22 that gives you access that you're not, you know, drilling holes through, you know, your hull of your kayak. You have these access ports or plates that you can drill through and run your wiring for your trolling motor or your electronics. You can see you got plates back here on the side to, you know, bring wires through as well. You got plenty of track. They improved the rear handle, and this is perfect for mounting, you know, anything back here, my flag, all that stuff. You can see the handle's a nice sturdy metal handle that, you know, pivots out of the way. You have an access port here just to give you access to your hull. You can see there's some scraps in there. Give you access to your hull, and you can also, I think they make like little baggy inserts in here if you want to store some stuff in there. But primarily this is, you know, I would use this for access for my, you know, just get into the wiring and all that stuff. You got 2 built-in rod holders, and you got plenty of track. It's got some nice decking material here in the front when you set up as a single person. But obviously right now, the front person is my son. He's gonna get more of that pad enjoyment right now. They do make deck pad full, you know, like another pad sections you can put through here. They make full decking. I think it covers all these and it runs all the way up to the front. We'll see. You know, being that this is going to be a tandem kayak for some time, I may buy another deck pad to put back through here just to complete it so it's a little bit more softer on my feet. But this is just a cool, very stable. I jumped on this from the dock when I was water testing it, and believe it or not, I think it was actually more stable jumping on this than my Hobie. I had to try it again, you know, getting on shore and getting in it again. But just jumping off that dock, it's either right there or actually more stable than the Hobie. I have to just try it one more time, like I said. So this is just a standard walkthrough before the chairs are on. They come with some scupper plugs. We'll see how many of those will actually run, if any at all. But what's really cool though, like I said, is that they have you set up easily for a trolling motor, or right here you have your, you know, cam lock and your little wheel to be able to retract your motor on the back. You know, when it's a single person, that seat's going to be sitting right about here. You got plenty of tank wall storage, so you know, Black Pack Pro will probably go on here soon. Is probably my main storage, and then you have room back here that you can put your battery for your trolling motor or for the Torpedo, and you utilize these tracks to strap it down very nicely. That's a like perfect setup for you know, any motor, whether it's the Torpedo or the Dakota Lithium for your, you know, your bow mounted motor. You got your room for your Black Pack, and then you have your seat sitting right here, and you know, you have all this deck here as a single person to be able to, like, you know, set your cameras up here and everything else, or you can get the gear pod from them as well. You know what's nice about the tracks here on the Nucanoe Unlimited is that it's top loading. So all you gotta do is just stick your things, you know, your T-tracks or your T-nuts or whatever you want to call them, on an angle into the thing, into the track, and you're done. So you can see here we got both seats put on it now. This is our first accessory to this kayak, is adding another seat to it. I also want to point out there is built-in cup holders and also tackle storage, or whatever you want to say, you know, for there, tackle boxes, etc. But this is our first accessory, is adding an additional Fusion 360 seat. Now, cool options about this seat is that you don't have to have it swivel. You can get a locking mechanism for like $60 that you can, you know, keep it as a swivel, but you can also lock it in place. Or it actually comes, you know, from the factory with longer bolts that you can use, that you can make this swivel seat stationary and, you know, eliminate the swivel mechanism and bolt it directly to the frame and just have a, you know, a stationary seat. So you have the option, you know, when you get the Fusion 360 seat, to make it swivel or lock in place all the time, or if you want to have that ability to do both on the water, you know, buy that $60 lock and you'll be able to lock this in place. But we're going to start out with leaving it as the swivel setup. If I feel like I need the lock, you know, when I'm paddling this with my son, then I'll get that locking mechanism. Or if I feel better with the seat staying stationary, then I'm going to go back to using the longer bolts, and I'll make mine stationary and maybe leave his swivel mounted. So you can see it's got a nice nice wide seat. This is your 360 swivel, which will be cool is that, you know, Jared will be able to turn and face me, you know, and we can put like a little cooler in between us and actually have like a little snack table for lunch or whatever. You know, our seat adjustment on this, once I get it to the water again, I'm gonna adjust where the seat needs to be to level out the weight right now with me and my son. You know, maybe I'll move the seat back and give us a little bit more room in between, or I may have to push that up a little bit more to even out, you know, the kayak itself. I don't want it to be, you know, back heavy with me on it right now. And that's a good thing too. When this turns into a single person kayak, you'll have that ability with this full track on here to adjust your seat where you want it, how much room you want behind your seat, how much room you want in front of you, you know, to be able to balance out your load where you need to sit based on how much you weigh. So there's a lot of flexibility to this. And just remember, this is my opinion. I think for a standard, and I'm not saying this is a standard kayak, but, you know, like the Hobie has the you know, the fin drive, the rudder's built in, the you know, all your additional fins, you know, the seat retract, all the mechanisms that run inside the kayak itself. But for just a basic kayak, I believe the Nucanoe is a great blank canvas to start. Whether it's the Pursuit, the Flint, you know, I would personally pick the Unlimited, which I did. But I just think that the Nucanoes are a great kayak that you can do so many modifications to. So simple, you know, with this track system being on here, you know, you have such endless possibilities from Yak Attack or any other, you know, Yak gadget, whoever's out there that runs off the track system, which pretty much everybody does now. You know, I got the H rails on the Hobie, but you have to buy either the Hobie products or you have to buy the Yak Attack H-rail adapters to be able to run T-slot stuff. You know, you can keep this kayak as simple or as elaborate as you want it. And I know for a fact that if I go to one of these myself and eliminate the Hobie, I'm going to keep it very cut and dry. It's going to have a motor, a black pack, and probably maybe a gear pod and a fish finder. That's all I'm going to run on this thing. That's all you need. And you have so much deck space to be able to basically run around and chase your fish. I'm going to make this a mini series and just update you guys basically as I go through the setup of this kayak. It's, like I said, it's going to be very, very simple. Oh, as I'm looking out there at my Hobie, yes, I'm going to add an anchor wizard to this because once again, I like simplicity. I wouldn't waste the money on a power pole for two reasons. Is that A, it's expensive, and B, you're limited to how deep you can anchor. An anchor wizard, you can be in, you know, 50 feet of water and anchor up. And I like the anchor wizard personally. You know, I can operate that anchor wizard very silently. You know, they say it's not as silent as a, you know, a power pole, but I can tell you right now, I can get that anchor on my kayak to go down super quiet. But that's a whole nother thing. But yeah, we'll definitely know how to have an anchor wizard on this. I'm not going to go too much more into detail in this video because things may change as I go through the process. I just wanted to kind of update you guys, give you a little surprise video that, you know, we got the second kayak now to take out my son. Just do a general walkthrough on this. Another thing is too, I forgot to say, is you got, you know, two built-in rod holders here in the back. They improved the back handle from the other from the other model years. You have your cutouts, your indentations here that, you know, you can put your plug in to plug in your battery for your trolling motor, you know, your disconnect for your, your connection for your battery or disconnect. But they give you those cutouts pre-cut out in there. Obviously, if you cut those out to run your wires, it's not going to void the warranty because they provide those for you. But that's it. I mean, I think the Nucanoes are just a wonderful starting platform for everybody. Whether you're experienced or getting right into kayak fishing, you know, to get this kayak is $1,800 with the 360 Fusion seat. Only accessory you have to buy, and we know the number one is a PFD if you don't have it. If you don't have a PFD, you better get one. Do not go in the water without a PFD, and you need a paddle. So for $1,800, let's say a decent paddle is about $200, and a PFD can range anywhere from $50 to $250. You know, for basically $2,000, you can start out kayak fishing, and you can upgrade all your accessories along the way. You know, my Hobie PA 14 with nothing on it except for the seat and the pedal drive is, I think, $4,800 now. So basically, you can outrig a Nucanoe with a motor, you know, especially a Torpedo that can go long distance with a motor for the same price as your base of the Hobie. I'm not bashing Hobie now because I have a Nucanoe, but like I said, I looked at these when I first started looking at kayaks back in 2017. I'm not disappointed I went with the Hobie. The Hobie drive system is phenomenal. You know, especially now with the 360, I think they've gotten most of their kinks worked out. I'm not sure if I would ever go that route still, just because of too many more mechanisms moving around. But that, you know, that forward and that reverse ability while you're fishing, hands free basically. You know, this, even with a motor, obviously if you're just fishing your backwaters and you want to move silently along, you have to use a paddle. So you have to have it on your lap basically, or at least off to the side. You know, with the Hobie, you can use your fins, obviously, to slightly pedal forward. So they both have their pros and cons. But I feel if you're going to go to the big box stores and spend, let's say, $800 to $1,000, I would just recommend saving another $1,000. I know it's not a small amount of money, but in the kayak world anymore and how far they've come, I think for $2,000, you cannot go wrong with a Nucanoe Unlimited. I think that's your best choice to start out with a fishing kayak. You know, you can add the Newport vessel to this for a lot less than a Torpedo. You can add your bow mount for about $500 less than a Torpedo. It all depends what you want. Me personally, I still like the stern drives because I like to be able to beach it, drive up on things without having to worry about pulling my motor up. You know, grabbing the motor, you know, the bow mount up, you have to have basically two mechanisms. You have to have something to hit that foot pedal in the front to be able to retract the motor. So you have to have that pulled and then, you know, pull back and retract the, you know, your motor guide or whatever off the front before you can beach. With your stern drive, most of the time you can just run right up and then pull your motor up last, or have your one cam lock here like Nucanoe has on it and just do one mechanism pull. You know, one forward motion to pull up the rear motor and you're done. So it's still a lot easier to retract a stern drive as well. That's probably why I'll go that route. Only reason I want to put a motor on this is because as I go longer distances and my son's able to stay on the water longer, you know, I want to be able to have that ability to go farther because, you know, I'm getting older. You know, the Hobie is fin driven and I've pretty much always been on a Hobie, so my legs are strong, but my knees are starting to hurt now anyway. But you know, to be able to paddle this thing for 3, 4, 5 miles with me on it, I'm going to be pretty tired, so I'm definitely going to want to add a motor to this. But you know, you can add the Honda to this. There's a I think it was a 2.3 or 2.8 horsepower motor you can throw on this thing, and you know, you're able to add a gas motor to this. The weight capacity on this Unlimited is 650 pounds. Now I'm not sure if that includes the kayak itself. The kayak itself is 90 pounds. So even if you took that off, you still have, you know, to be safe, let's say even if it's 100 pounds, you still have a 500-pound weight capacity to this. But I guarantee you it's probably taking into consideration the weight of the kayak. So say the kayak's at 80 minus 50, that'll give you 570, right? About 570, 560. You know, if you have to add the weight of the kayak itself. If not, it has a 650-pound capacity. That will hold me, my wife, and my son and gear. So one last note, as I'm sitting here touching the kayak, talking to you guys, I forgot to say that they do have handles on both sides, and these are also your paddle holders. So you don't need to necessarily have a you know, double header from Yak Attack. It actually locked in there pretty well. I tried it when I was on the water. I felt pretty comfortable. I felt pretty comfortable that I wouldn't lose it. I could always add a bungee tie to around it to, you know, make it a little bit safer just in case. But that's about it. It's got a drain plug built into the side of it, obviously in the corner there. You got your whole identification number, and it's made in the USA. You know, you got the stickers right there. You know, another thing I forgot to say too is they have free parts for life. So it says handle breaks, screw falls out, critters gnaw, whatever reason. If you need a replacement part for your new canoe kayak, just complete our support form and we'll send it out. No questions, no charges. Your time and experience is important to put on hold for a simple part. You know, and the responsive customer service, I've heard nothing but good things about Nucanoe for customer service. And the warranty on the hull itself, I'm not positive. You know, maybe I'll give it a, I'll look it up and put it on the screen here, or I'll say that for the next video. So I just want to do a quick wanted to do a quick overview for you guys on the Nucanoe Unlimited. I'm sure there's a ton of videos out there on the Nucanoe Unlimited. I just wanted to give you my personal opinion why I went with this as a tandem setup for now, and it's going to turn into a single person kayak for my son as he gets older. It's just simple, but it's not. You know, if you understand what I'm saying there, you got so much fishability already built into a simple kayak, but with all the tracks and everything else, you know, that's what I was thinking about before. I said the rudder. You know, my Hobie has skegs. You know, it has a skeg, it has a rudder, it's got 2 steering handles, it's got a lot of moving parts that I'm worried about. One time I'm going to get stuck on the water with it and I'm going to be paddling that heavy kayak back. So, which could happen to any of our kayaks. You know, our motors could break and we'll be paddling back anyway. But one other thing, as well, I'm sitting here. What's cool about these seats too as well, sorry about that, besides the easy adjustability, you can unclip this. You can lay it flat back if needed during transport, or just get underneath something. Obviously with these quick thumb screws, you can take this off and use it as a cool campsite or beach chair. You know, it's got a rugged aluminum frame. You know, it's going to get scratched up, but I mean, nothing's going to happen to it. Let me do this real quick. I'm only doing this with one hand. But what's really cool too is that for transportation, you don't have to take these seats off. It comes with a strap built in that buttons it down and holds this from flopping up. I mean, obviously it could spin, so I would still probably take maybe you know, those night eyes things I use from Depot, that, you know, from Home Depot, that you can just tie around this stuff. I'd probably kind of lock this in place so it's not, you know, flying around on you. But you know, you got that mechanism to lock the seat down. Easy adjustability, it lays flat, and you can use this as a campsite or beach chair. So that's it, guys. I'm going to stop it. I don't think I have any other thoughts right now. Hope you guys enjoyed this little intro. It's going to become a mini series as I upgrade. Obviously, my upgrade already was 1 extra seat. And another reason why I grabbed this Nucanoe is because the tandem possibilities and how stable it has been. There's other tandem kayaks out there, but I wanted this to still be somewhat of a tandem fishing rig, simple enough for now, but to be able to keep this for a long period and make this my son's as well as his single person, you know, single man operation kayak, where he can trick this out and make it, you know, pretty badass. So that's it, guys. I'm going to stop it there. I hope you guys like this video. Stay tuned as I upgrade and I turn this thing into a small mini series. And I want to thank Higher Ground Outfitters in Beaufort, South Carolina for supplying this for us. We had a great experience there. You are our local dealer, and we'll be seeing you guys soon as well too. So as always, guys, be safe on the water, and I'll catch you guys on the water. Thanks for watching. Time for some new adventures with a little guy.